This just in. Breaking news. Our top story tonight. Phil Hellmuth fires back at the haters on the most recent episode of my podcast, where he had this to say about his MTT run.
I won 26 out of 27 heads up. Well, that's a small sample size. Phil must be lucky. Well, I'm the luckiest motherfucker in history.
That's right, Phil. If there wasn't luck involved, you'd lose every time? Something like that. Next up, Dan Bilzerian drops the hammer on me?
I'm much better than Doug Polk. I've won way more money than he has, so, you know, he can jerk off the solvers and, you know, maybe he's the best fucking...
Okay, stop the music, stop the music. This is an outrage. I would never jerk off to poker solvers. I'm more of a poker tracking software kind of guy. In unrelated news, Upswing Poker is proud to announce that Pokertracker is the official poker tracking software of Upswing Poker. Pokertracker, for when simple post-flop is just not getting the job done.
Oh my gosh! Wow.
One jerk off.
Also tonight, Poker After Dark was joined by a person that we all know as a polarizing figure that tends to be outspoken, that gets a lot of people upset. Oh, and also Phil Hellmuth was there. Next up, the World Series of Poker is under attack for its stances on COVID and vaccinations. I'm sure that policy is going to make everybody happy. And finally tonight, Upswing Poker is proud to announce Stoyan Madenchev joins the Upswing Poker Lab. In next month's module, he'll be breaking down his run where he won the World Series of Poker online main event. Or main event. Kind of depends on who you ask. It was a bit of a kerfuffle. All of this and more tonight on Poker News. Let's talk about the World Series of Poker, and this is a delicate issue right now. Obviously, COVID is going on. That has been a thing for a year and a half now. We're used to dealing with COVID and sort of the repercussions of that. I think early this year, we were all hoping that COVID would simmer down. We wouldn't have to worry about it, and we could get back to normal with a reasonably normal World Series of Poker, and that did not end up being the case. A lot of different reasons for that. Obviously, this issue can get hyper-political, and I'm going to try to avoid getting too into the weeds on that. But the rise of the Delta variant has made this a bit of a tricky situation for the World Series of Poker. They have decided to go ahead and have the series, but this time it's going to be happening in the fall instead of the summer, and that feels pretty weird to me. I mean, the summer, the 125-degree heat scorching down on your face right after you busted out of whatever tournament and some guy smokes in your face as you leave the Rio. I feel like I need that to feel like the World Series of Poker is complete, but the fall will still be fine as well. In fact, probably a nicer time to have it in Vegas anyway. It just feels a little bit different. The series is set to run from September 30th until November 22nd, so it should be a fairly normal time period in terms of the length of time for the series. It just is happening much later in the year. Some of the most interesting events that caught my eye were a $250,000 super high roller, a $100,000 super high roller, no one drop, a $25,000 heads up tournament, and a $10,000 short deck tournament. I'm not sure if they've done that before or not, but interesting to see short deck make it into this series if it is the first time. Just a quick correction, it seems they do still have the one drop. It is the little one for one drop though, so just the $1,111 buy-in as opposed to the $100K or the $1 million one. I guess they're just replacing that with these $250K and $100K tournaments, which will be happening near the end of November. But let's put the scheduling stuff to the side here for a moment because that's not the most important topic. The most important topic is, of course, the fact that the WSOP has decided to not allow unvaccinated players to play in its events, which is really a strong statement and one that has upset a lot of people. Obviously, most people in this country are vaccinated, but there is still a sizable percentage of the population that are not vaccinated, and a lot of them feel very strongly about not being vaccinated. And this rule will make it so these people cannot play in this event. Now, there is a very tiny sliver of people who will probably get vaccinated to play. I actually tweeted about this the other day and put a poll up. Only a few percentage of people will actually get vaccinated in order to come play, but a lot of people will not be allowed to play in these events. Two of the most notable opponents to this rule change have been Alex Foxen and Kristen Bicknell. You might remember these two from a tournament that they ran deep in where it got down to three-handed, and there was some questionable decisions that certainly looked like collusion between them to win a tournament against a third player. Now, last time I talked about that incident, Alex Foxen messaged me very unhappy about my coverage, that it wasn't fair because I didn't know tournament poker theory, which, fair enough. I have not really played many tournaments and certainly haven't done well in many of them, so I can understand what he's saying. In order to bring in an actual expert, I'm going to leave Justin Bonomo's thoughts in the description below. Now, I actually had to do some advanced research in order to see this article because Justin Bonomo has me blocked on Twitter. I guess now that I think about it, I really am privileged. Back to this issue, though, this is a hill that this power couple has decided they are willing to die on. Kristen Bicknell tweeted just the other day, "I am boycotting this utterly illogical tyranny. I'm tired of playing along with rules and mandates that don't make sense." Strong words. My question? How can you boycott something you're not allowed to be a part of? This would be like me boycotting an appearance in GQ magazine. Sorry, guys. I'm just not willing to objectify men like this. But the tyranny side to this cannot be understated enough. In fact, we've all had to deal with tyranny. Just the other month, I wasn't allowed in a Nobu restaurant because I was wearing a tank top. When will this reign of terror come to an end? Putting the jokes aside for a moment, this is a really tough spot for the World Series of Poker, and I'm not entirely sure what they should do. If they go with a very lax approach, you may have tons of cases and create an unsafe environment for your workers. I'm not sure if that's a situation that is tenable for the World Series of Poker as it is today, especially with COVID cases spiking with the Delta variant. You can have very strict rule sets like this one where people have to have the vaccine, but now you're forcing people to have a vaccine to play in your event. And there are a lot of questions here as to people who've already had it. Are they safe? Do you need the vaccine if you've already had the Delta variant? And then, of course, there are people that do not trust the vaccine. I think that that's, in general, a bit foolish. I'm sure I'm going to get downvoted into oblivion for saying that. But regardless, the data shows that you are safer off with the vaccine, particularly if you're an older person. And there is no strong correlation between the vaccine and negative side effects. Although there are some, of course, this is not a 0% type situation. The point is, this is a strict policy and it will affect people and prevent certain people from playing. I think the best example of people that might not be able to play are people with very weak immune systems who cannot get the vaccine. But then again, should those people really be at the Rio playing a tournament? Probably not. And then your final option is you could not have the World Series of Poker, which, you know, makes them money. I talk about this issue with Mike Matisow on last week's podcast and Nate Silver on this week's podcast about the statistics about whether you should be taking the vaccine or not. And there are a lot of different points at play. I think the biggest takeaway for me personally is almost every healthcare professional is taking the vaccine. Those are the people in the industry that actually know what's going on. So if they're taking it, you probably should be too. Are you really not going to listen to what the experts have to say here, that they're taking this to protect themselves? It makes sense for you to protect yourself too. That said, forcing people to take it, that's where it may be taking a step over the line. And I'm interested to hear what you guys have to say. Leave a comment in the description below. Oh my God, reading through those. But leave a comment in the description below on your thoughts about the COVID situation at the World Series of Poker. I'm going to have to pay my staff a little extra for this week's video. I'm just guessing. Moving on, I want to talk about me playing poker. I'm getting sick of answering this, guys. I'm sick of it. I've said it a million times. I'm done playing poker, okay? That's it. I'm not playing anymore. I don't play poker. I'm sick of answering this question. I see comments, oh, like he's really retired. This is for real, guys. I'm sick of answering this. Jot that down and stop clogging up my comment sections with that dumb bullshit. Our next topic is the explosion of card rooms here in Austin. They are everywhere. And recently, Brad Owen and Andrew Neevy came on down to play at some rooms and hang out. I actually got lunch and caught up with the guys. Some good dudes, and it was nice to get a chance to chat with them, although then they left for their poker session. If you want to see how that went for Andrew, you can check it out over on his YouTube channel. That actually looks pretty fun, but I'm definitely not going because I've made myself very clear on this subject and I don't want to have to keep repeating myself. On to our next story. This is something I should have probably put in the intro, but there was a big story in the poker world that happened just about a month ago now where 2+2, the epicenter for poker conversation over the course of the last, let's say, 2 decades, at least 15 years, well, it traded hands. Mason Malmuth, David Slansky, and the guys sold to some new owners who kicked off their tenure on the site with this image. This website has been purchased by us. What is the future of 2+2? Really putting their best foot forward here. This looks professional, and I trust these guys already, whoever they are. They instantly made friends by removing all of the current banners on the website to clean things up a little bit, which sucks for companies that had banners on the site. I'm not going to name any names. The new owners seem to have their own plans for what they want to do with it. I don't want to get too buried in that, though. What I really want to focus on here is the truly epic run that 2+2 had, and what a beacon in the community that it served as. I'm probably one of the people that feels the most emotional about this, because 2+2 was kind of my home for a lot of years, where I would talk about what was happening in the world of poker or the world at large. And at one point, and this was a long time ago, talk poker strategy, which hasn't happened on an online forum for, I don't know how long. I don't really know how long it's been since people actually talk serious strategy in an online poker forum, but it used to happen on 2+2, and you looked forward to the conversations. 2+2 has a who's who of the poker world, people that really meant something. This site had it all. It had juicy NVG drama. It had high stakes poker threads about the best hands your favorite players played. It had the high stakes thread where you could see who was playing and duking it out and battling it out. And of course, you check to see if any of your hands made it, if you had the opportunity to make it into that thread. All kinds of stuff. I did a prop bet, one of my first ever major, I guess, things I did publicly, where I had a prop bet to make 400 binds in a month at NL25. I think that was in BBV. Joe Ingram had all of his prop bets in there. My YouTube channel gained a lot of followers that found it through the 2+2 channels. Basically, 2+2 really had everything when it came to what was happening in the poker world, and it created a community that was large and vibrant for many years. I do think over the last 5-ish, 10 years, the community has become very jaded. And you can kind of tell if you go to, for example, the subreddit for poker, people tend to be a little bit more meme friendly and happy and easygoing. And then I feel like in a lot of 2+2 threads, people tend to be a bit older and more jaded. I don't know why that is. It just seems to have a bit more of that audience. But all the same, a lot of the best people that I met in poker and in my life, I met through 2+2. My first roommate ever in Las Vegas, Jimmy Chow, very good friend of mine. We ended up doing a lot of heads-up stuff together. I met him online as a kid, but then again through poker, where he DM'd me through the 2+2 forums, asking if he could stay at my place, and that was my first roommate. So, I mean, I've gone way back with this site. I've posted on it for thousands of posts. I've been on there for many years. And I just want to, I guess, like, take a moment to appreciate all of those good times that I had on 2+2. And it's not disappearing, but it certainly turned a page here. And I wish the best to Mason Malmuth and David Slansky moving forward. As for the new guys, I do hope that they keep some of the legacy of 2+2 intact and they don't make too many of the changes. But on the other hand, maybe some changes are necessary at this point to make the site survive in today's world. Hard to say exactly. I think forums are a decaying model just in general, but time will tell. Either way, certainly an interesting story to discuss. Also tonight, Upswing Poker has teamed up with Pokertracker. Pokertracker is now the official poker tracking software of Upswing Poker. If you guys do not have a poker tracking software, well, that's surprising because it's been a lot of years and you've had many chances to get one. But if you have not yet purchased one, there is a link in the description below you can click on to get the best poker tracking software in the biz. I've used Pokertracker for many, many years. I use it for my challenge versus Dion Negreanu. Well, actually, I guess I used it in the review because I wasn't allowed hand histories, but I do use Pokertracker to break down my hands versus Daniel. I recently put in the Upswing Poker Lab. So if you want to check that out, you can do so. The link is in the description below. As for this Dan Bilzerian call-out video, I mean, this thing was weird. This was a 2.5-minute video on YouTube, which, by the way, not the play on the platform. And then they spent half of it talking about something else other than dissing me, and it was just a random...
The floor guy had to go out to the blackjack table or whatever, the poker gift, or whatever the fuck it was.
I don't know, sort of attack at me for using solvers or something. What was that? What did I just watch? What was this video? It's confusing.
I'm much better than Doug Polk. I've won way more money than he has, so.
Bilzerian does make a pretty good point here. The best poker player is the guy with the most money in the bank account. That's clear as day. That's why when I want to know how I should play a hand, I ask Jeff Bezos.
Doug Polk, you can jerk off to solvers.
Jerk off.
Also, can I just say for a moment that this was a pretty weak insult? Doug Polk can jerk off to solvers? I mean, what is that? You go to the Bryn Kenney School of Insults? Oh, and while we're on the Bryn Kenney subject, I'm not sure if you guys saw this, but a couple months ago, me and Bryn, we had a little back and forth. There were some things that were said that some of us are probably not proud of. Cliff notes here, main takeaway is I'm not entirely sure that Bryn Kenney knows what jokes are. It's not exactly clear on that one. It is comforting to know, though, that if I ever need some action on living a better existence, that, you know, I've got 7 figures lined up pretty easily. So that is nice. Oh, and finally, Bryn, in case you're listening, when you call somebody shit at a heads up no limit format, and then when they offer to play you, you say that you can't play, but your friends totally will. That's some real 4th grader, my big brother's going to beat you up shit, bro. That's going to do it here for the news today, guys. By the way, we have Mike Massow coming on the podcast shortly. In fact, by the time this video is up, that might already be up on my podcast channel. Phil Hellmuth, of course, joined us a week ago. So if you guys are interested in some podcasts, check out the podcast channel. It's one of my channels. There's a million of them. You'll find it somewhere. Maybe we'll put it in the description for you. We'll make it easy for you. See you guys there. Thank you for tuning in today.